Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime Symbol. And today I'm going to be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto had the adapting ability like Doomsday. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, I indeed have 4 more channels. All the links will be down in the description. So go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado, you are wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin now, guys. So, to do a bit of a recap from the last part that we left off, Kurama was remembering when he had spoken to his father. His father had entrusted him with the beast, while the Ten Tails was a catastrophic destruction of nature in all of its might. There was another that the sage could not kill. The only way to stop it was to seal it away, and he entrusted his strongest, Kurama, the most mightiest of all the Bijus, to hold the beast at bay, and Kurama did so for the longest time until that night, where he was split in half, and the essence of the beast merged with Naruto. Yes, whatever monster that was, even Kurama feared the might of it, because the sage told him that the coming of that beast would signal the end of this world. It could not be stopped, it could adapt to almost anything. The only reason why the sage was able to even suppress the beast was because he used a incredible large amount of his power to shut the beast down before it adapted. But even then it started to heal, and he sealed it, using his power to keep it at bay until his life came to an end, and he gave it to Kurama to hold on to it, because the tail beasts could not be killed by age. While Kurama was thinking that, Naruto was losing his mind. Haku was nowhere in sight, he couldn't find her. He was losing it little by little, as he was losing his grip on reality. However, Tsunade shouted at him to calm down. If he lost control, he wouldn't be able to rescue Haku. Naruto was able to fight back all that rage, however it knocked him out. When he woke up in a cell, Naruto quickly ripped through the seals and the chains that bind him as he jumped right through and headed home. Naruto was packing his stuff as he was about to go and search for Haku. Tsunade, who was inside of the meeting room, couldn't allow him to leave, but Naruto apologized, but he would not make her stop him, as it seemed like a war was going to break out between the two, until Jiraiya arrived, as he posed a solution with him going with Naruto, as this was a perfect time for them to handle Orochimaru, while he was weakened and demolish the rest of his forces. Tsunade believed in that this was the only thing that would satisfy the both of them. As Naruto stopped, she told him to be careful out there. With that, him and Jiraiya headed off. Naruto was able to pick up Haku's scent, as his sensory ability was far beyond any Inuzaka or anyone within the world. As Naruto tracked it until he arrived towards the location. However, arriving there, it turns out that she was not there. Naruto went on a rampage and demolished each and every one of them. They went to the next location where they came across Renji and his group. Jiraiya was a bit surprised by the brutality that the boy did, crushing skulls, ripping off arms, tearing body parts limb from limb. Naruto did not hesitate to rip them and gut them as he moved. Soon after that, Naruto was able to break Renji and the others. After getting the information though, Naruto lied as he eradicated the entire lair. Him and Jiraiya took some time as they finally arrived towards the location where Haku was. Haku was sitting within a cell as she told Kimimaro that it was a bad idea. Kimimaro had recovered somewhat. She told him that it was a bad idea because Naruto will find her and he was going to die. It was better off if he released her right here and now. However, Kimimaro refused to do that. He was going to deliver her to his master. Haku was a bit worried, but she knew that Naruto would come for her. Kimimaro believed that just because Gurren was here, everything was going to be a-okay. However, when the two of them arrived, the place started to shake. Jiraiya wanted to go in with a plan, as Naruto abided to what he was saying, knowing that Haku's health could be put in jeopardy, and that is something that he absolutely didn't want. So they went in with a plan, as Jiraiya faced off against Gurren. Gurren crystal release might be strong, but he was goddamn Jiraiya of the Sannin, and he quickly showed that by taking her down. When he gave Naruto the go-ahead, Naruto tore the cell off as he hugged and kissed Haku, glad to know that she was okay. With that, he placed her in the toad's mouth that took her out of here. Naruto then beat Kimimaro until there was nothing remaining of his head. He then twists all the elements together before he released it in a shower. It swallowed and eviscerated the entire base. Kurama, who was watching all of this, could see the deep-seated connection that this girl now had on this boy. Knowing that she held the fate of this world in her hand because of her life that was so precious to Naruto and nothing else. Well, that might be a problem for the future, given that the Akatsuki was going to be coming after Naruto soon. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play, check out for yourself, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we begin this new episode? We begin this episode in the empty wasteland. Well, it wasn't a moment ago. A moment ago it was a large facility filled with all kind of people and strange, twisted experiments. But now, there was nothing left, not a soul in sight. There he stood. Naruto took several deep breaths as he calmed himself down after expending so much energy. As he calmly opened his eyes and looked around, there was no empathy, no mercy for none of these people that could come from him. They deserve what they got. Anyone that hurt, or even try, or even think to hurt those who are precious to him, they deserve nothing but death. As Naruto walked and looked around, waiting and waiting, as he started to tap his feet on the ground, that is when a toad arrived, hopping towards him. The toad was massive, at least 5 times his size. Whoa, I guess he wasn't joking when he said that we had to flee immediately. The toad said, looking around. "Where is she?" said Naruto. "Don't worry, I'm gonna take you to her right now." The toad stuck his tongue out and wrapped it around Naruto and yanked him forward as Naruto allowed it to happen. Poof! "You can come out now," the toad said as Naruto emerged from his mouth, a few slime dropping off of him. Naruto looked around, surprised by the area. "Ah, you finally made it," Jiraiya said, as he looked towards Naruto with a calm look on his face. That is when Naruto saw 2 toads carrying away the unconscious woman. He presumed that was Gurren, but Naruto did not care about that. "Where is she?" "She is doing quite fine," Naruto heard as he turned to see a small toad hopping towards him. "She's just a bit exhausted. so I put her up to rest. Naruto, said Jiraiya. This is Shima. Or you can just call me Ma, she said. So you're a Naruto boy, huh? She said, looking at him. We heard quite a lot about you, another one said as Naruto saw a smaller toad. This is Elder Fukazaku, Jiraiya said towards Naruto. Naruto was about to say something when suddenly, his eyes turned green. The toads looked at him surprised when suddenly he dropped down to his knees. Naruto gripped at his chest as he tore his shirt off. Green lines and markings started to flood all over his body into his eyes. Naruto held his head to the sky and screamed. The entire location trembled as a violent, dark aura mixed with green started to resonate from Naruto's body. The toads had to move away as the land was ripped apart. What the hell is going on? Jiraiya shouted. Ma and Paul looked quite surprised. As Paul saw what was happening, it's like nature energy. It's like it's trying to destroy him, Paul said. But why? Jiraiya asked. The both of them were confused, having no idea. A distance from them, two eyes snapped open. It's been a long time since he opened his eyes this wide. The toads that were guarding him suddenly started to sweat and tremble as they felt the raw, unnatural feeling splitting through the land. Gamamaru, the oldest toad, he was shocked. How is this possible? Gamamaru thought to himself, knowing exactly what this sensation was. Back towards Naruto. How can we help him? Jiraiya shouted. The toads looked at one another. I'm not sure, Paul said, having not faced something like this before, as he could see nature literally clashing against the boy and his body fighting back against it. As Naruto gripped his skull and screamed, the entire place was rumbling and trembling. What's going on? A voice spoke up. They turned to see Haku, who had woken up and quickly rushed to the scene. She looked exhausted, mentally and physically. That is when she saw Naruto? She said, trying to go towards him, but Jiraiya grabbed her hand. No, you can't. What's wrong with him? What's happening? She said. I don't know, said Jiraiya as he watched Naruto scream. No one could go close to him. The place was being ripped and torn apart. As Naruto screamed violently once again, Jiraiya released Haku as they had to move back. However, Haku ran forward. No, Jiraiya shouted as Naruto screamed, blowing everything away. Haku quickly gripped onto the ground as her body was being blown, but she held on tightly. The toads and Jiraiya were sent sailing as Naruto's entire form was completely green. He seemed like he was about to explode. Haku ran. She ran forward despite the overwhelming sensation. As her hand, her skin, started to turn to stone, but she did not stop until Naruto saw her. No, stay away, he said. No, she screamed despite her body becoming petrified. I will not allow you to suffer alone. As she marched forward, her legs still moving, her hands dropped to her side. As she kept on moving, she reached Naruto as she leaned forward and kissed him. As Naruto's lips met hers, Naruto felt the overwhelming sensation like his body was about to be ripped apart, but he refused. Meanwhile, inside of the mindscape, Kurama looked at the Death Reaper seal, and it was disappearing more and more. As he looked at the seal, inside of the boy's mind, there was a massive forest. A gigantic forest that was trying to consume all, even him. That was until flames, all-consuming black flames, started to swallow the trees. One by one, the trees tried to fight back, but their essence, their power was just not enough. They were swallowed whole by the flames. An actual smile appeared on Kurama's face. It seems. The world might not be destroyed after all, he thought to himself. Back in the outside world, as Jiraiya, Ma and Pa arrived to see Naruto and Haku, their bodies were completely petrified. Jiraiya's eyes went wide, his hands shaking in shock and fear. Ma and Pa themselves was shocked, as they knew what that meant. This was when one tried to master Sage Energy, but it was just too much, and you cannot revert back from that stage. Does that mean crack? They heard the sound until stones were sent everywhere. As Haku fell right into Naruto's embrace, as she panted heavily, she felt like she died a moment ago. But no, she was alive. But there were changes. Her eyes were now a light shade of green. And her hair as well. It was no longer fully black. It looked to be dark green. Very dark green, but you could see it in the sunlight. She felt different as she lay on Naruto's chest. He wrapped one arm around her. She looked up towards him. "Are you alright?" he asked. "Yes, I'm fine," she said. "What about you?" Naruto looked at himself. He felt different, completely so, but he was fine. "I'm fine," he said. That is when a toad came hopping over, as it spoke to Ma and Pa. "Naruto boy," Pa said, "the great elder, Gamamaru, would like to see you immediately." Jiraiya was surprised to hear that. As they were all going, Naruto picked himself up, not knowing who that was, or neither did he care. He just wanted to make sure that Haku was okay. As Jiraiya walked over towards the group, "Better not to keep him waiting, kid. You don't know this, but to be summoned by the great elder Toad is a great honor." "Why does he wish to see me?" said Naruto. "I have no idea," said Jiraiya. "But something clearly unnatural just happened. And if you want answers, we gotta get moving." "Fine. Come on," he said as he held Haku's hand, as the both of them started to follow the two smaller toads. As Naruto saw several toads lined up, when he saw the massive toad on his throne. Along the way, Jiraiya tried to get an understanding of what happened, as Ma made it clear. Naruto's whole body was now saturated with nature energy, something that should not be possible. But it wasn't just him, Haku as well. Something was going on. Something never seen before just happened, and they would like to know as well. The great elder Toad, for the first time in a long while, was fully awake as he gazed upon Naruto. However, he did not call him by his name. "Doomsday," the great elder Toad said, as Naruto tilted his head looking at him. Haku, wondering what that name meant. "It is you," Gamamaru said. "The one that was created to bring destruction and chaos. The one that was created to destroy nature itself. But now, you've conquered nature, I see. Something that should be impossible, given what you are, and yet you did it, but not by yourself." Gamamaru glanced towards Haku. "What the hell are you talking about?" said Naruto. "And why do you call me Doomsday?" The Toads want to reprimand Naruto for speaking like that. However, the elder Toad simply gave Naruto his full attention, and they knew to remain quiet. "I am not sure how your existence is possible, but I felt what you are before a long time ago. A very, very long time ago. I never thought I would ever see the reawakening of what you are, but here you lie, right in front of me." as Naruto kept on looking at the toad waiting for answers. I myself do not know the full story. All I know is there was a group of people that dabbled in something that was beyond chakra, something that ninjas nowadays have no idea even exists, and it should stay that way. They did so to create you, a part of you, to be more exact. That part is the beasts that lie right under the surface, a beast that is only quenched by destruction. Your sole purpose was to end life as we know it, and you were close. All of existence was almost destroyed. Flashback. The Sage of Sixth Path, a man that was renowned to be a god, a man that was an unstoppable force. Himself, his name, was something that was supposed to be traversed through the ages. As a god of this world, found himself bleeding heavily. He was exhausted. Despite using the power of the 10 tails, the sage found himself being outmatched. In front of him was a beast, at least 10 feet tall. However, fast on his feet, just as big as he was. He was rippling with muscles. His skin was grey. He had a bald head with horns coming from it. 4 in total. There were 4 spikes sticking out of his shoulder and his arms, and 2 claws coming out of the center of his hand to rip into almost anything. The beast walked as it tore the ground apart with a step. Everything was on fire. The land itself was being destroyed. The Sage of Sixth Path pulled a considerable amount of the Jubi's power and his own together. All of his efforts so far has failed. All he needed to do was weaken it enough to seal it. However, he knew that would take a drastic toll on his life. But it didn't matter. If he would die sooner to protect this world, then he will die. The sage made the heavens quake. He made the land rumble. He made the sky tremble as he called upon his full might, knowing that it wouldn't be enough to kill the beast but weaken it. End of flashback. Naruto was shocked to what he was hearing from this toad in front of him. All of them, they had no earthly idea that any of this happened. After sensing what you release, I am sure that your Doomsday, there has been a lot of powerful people to walk this earth since that time, but none like that man. If you were to return back to that state, this world, all of existence as we know it, shall be destroyed. Gamamaru said. The toad was dead serious as he gazed down towards Naruto, who was quiet. Time skip. After their little deep, extremely deep conversation, Gamamaru told him that it was up to him. There wasn't anything that he could do. They could not even kill Naruto, because if they did, there was a chance that Doomsday would simply re-emerge, and Naruto's soul that kept it at bay would no longer be there. However, they misunderstood everything. Naruto wasn't just there with Doomsday, he was Doomsday. Kurama was able to overhear everything, but most of the information was not going to be helpful because he knew more than that toad. His father had told him everything after giving him that burden to carry for the rest of eternity. Naruto was unusually quiet, with Haku fully recovered as they walk. This wasn't going to be the last time that they visit that land, with Haku also starting to show changes because of the collision that she had with Naruto when he was changing, conquering nature energy, as the toad said. This wouldn't be the last time, but for now, they could go home. Haku understood that Naruto was worried, but she was going to be by his side no matter what. Upon returning to the village, changes were already taking place there, given the fact that Tsunade had taken the mantle as the 5th Hokage. Her time of being here and reuniting with the village sensei and Naruto was the one that inspired her as well. She was happy to see them, happy to see Haku alive. At the end of their conversation though, she and Jiraiya stood in the office. She asked him, "What's wrong with him?" Jiraiya took a deep breath. A little bit about the kid backstory was revealed. Well, a lot. Today has been a stressful day upon itself, but you're going to need to know this, Jiraiya said. Later that night, she was finally home. Naruto seemed to have returned back to normal, as he was making sure that she was okay. They cook, they eat, they spend time together. However, Haku could not release the feeling in her stomach that something was just not right, as her body refused to let her sleep. She felt him get up off the bed as she pretended like she was sleeping. Haku leapt through the window and made her way around the side of the house. When she saw Naruto, he would sense her if she got any closer. So she ran. She ran straight through the front door as Naruto turned. She crashed right into him, gripping the letter away from him. As Naruto did not move though, she could not knock him over, but she did pull away the letter. Naruto tried to reach for it, but she jumped away. "What are you doing?" she said. She looked at the letter. She knew that something was wrong. As she read it, it was not done yet, but she read. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. You were planning to leave me?" she said, looking at him. Her eyes filled with tears, as Naruto could not look at her. "I always knew that I was a monster," he said. "Deep down I knew I was something bad, but now it is confirmed. I can't stay here. If I do, I'll end up hurting you and destroying everything. I need to be alone. I need to be isolated." As Naruto turned when she slapped him across the face. However, once again his body did not move, nor did his face, but Haku showed no discomfort. She looked at him angrily. "How could you even think of leaving me after everything that you promised? How could you?" she said. "After everything that we've been through, and you would have just left and not looked back. How could you?" she screamed. "Because I don't want to hurt you," said Naruto. He shouted back. Every time when you go off the rails, every time something happens, I'm always here for you, to make sure you don't go too far. And I will always be here for you. It doesn't matter what the toad said, it doesn't matter what happened, it doesn't matter who you are, or what you've been through, what you can't remember or nothing. I love you, and that is all that matters," she said to him. As Naruto looked at her, "It doesn't matter how hard it will be in the future. It doesn't matter how bad it will be. I'll always be here for you. Just please, don't leave," she said, as the tears ran down her cheek. As Naruto stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her, she did the same for him. I'm sorry," he said, as she cried in his chest. He thought he was doing the right thing. He didn't want to hurt her, but the thought of actually leaving felt like there was no more life for him to live. Without her, there was nothing. Nothing at all in this world left for him. And he was now seeing how much pain he would cause her if he did so, which was the last thing that he wanted to do. As he held on to her, she leaned back before she kissed him. As both of them share a passionate kiss and held each other, they held each other and lie right there on the ground. Until the morning, as the sun rays shined down through their window, Haku woke up with her head on his chest, her arm wrapped around him. As Naruto was already awake, his gaze looking up toward the ceiling, he was thinking about a lot. She leaned up as she gave him a kiss. As Naruto looked down towards her, "I'm sorry for last night, for only thinking of myself in this." "It's alright," she said. "You're going through a lot right now, but you don't have to, because you will never be alone. I'll always be by your side. It doesn't matter what you're going through. I'll always be here for you," she said to him with a smile. As Naruto smiled back down towards her, is confident in, mastering whatever he was, returning back in full fold. Last night was just a lapse in judgment, a weakness on his part, something that will never, ever happen again. Time skip. Naruto stood in front of Tsunade as he just arrived in the office. His gaze went towards the third Hokage as he looked towards her. "So you're in charge now," he said. "Someone had to do it, and I figure I was the right person. And that's partly because of you," she said. As Naruto was surprised to hear her say that. "Before that though," he said, interrupting, "I'm sorry. I was stressed. Haku was missing and it's alright. I understand the situation one is put in when it comes to a loved one. But from here on out, I am the Hokage. And you better remember that. Do you hear me, brat?" Yeah, said Naruto. As he looked towards her though, "I presume that he told you everything." "Yeah, he did." "How are you dealing with that?" "Well, last night I tried to run away." You what?" "I didn't want to hurt anyone," he said, as he looked at her. "You were on that list as well. If I am this monster, wouldn't it be better if I was left somewhere in the wilderness?" "Don't worry," he said as he saw she was about to say something. "I was proven wrong. I was not considering that I would be hurting the people around me that has come to care for me as a person. What can I say? I've been alone for most of my life. I still kind of think that I can just return back to that. But I can't anymore. Because of stubborn people like you." "Damn right you are," she said. "It's not like I'm gonna let you do this on your own. I understand what he's told you. However, Jiraiya told me that you were able to conquer Sage Energy. And if you can do that, I doubt there is nothing that you can't do. So with our help, we'll help you through this monster, whatever it is." "Thanks," Naruto said. She realized that he was much more calmer. Well, the Haku situation was a really intense one. Jiraiya is still within the village. He knew that it was a hectic day for you, but he wanted to see what are the attributes of you master in Sage mode. You know, he himself has not fully accomplished his feat. "Well, that is something to rub in his face," Naruto said. "But I do feel different. Strangely enough, I feel more calm. Like it's silly to say, but it's like I'm at peace," Naruto said. "I can also see it." As Naruto's eyes turned green, Tsunade was surprised. "I can see the amount of energy. It is lacking here, but within the forest, within the animals, the trees, there's so much of it. But it's in the earth. Wait, you can actually see nature energy," said Tsunade. "Yes," said Naruto as he looked around. "Even though I have it, I have no idea what to do with it, he said. Well, that's where Jiraiya comes in, she said to him. Time skip. As Naruto sighed. Hey, he said, looking up toward the top of the fence, where Jiraiya was peeping on the ladies. Haku had been out. As she was back to the village, she was reuniting with some of the friends that she had made to tell them that she was alright. Yesterday was a hectic day after all, but now she was reuniting with all the friends, Ino and the others, to show them that Naruto had saved her and she was back. So here Naruto was with a Sanin. Whether the man heard him or not, perhaps he was just pretending as he peeped on the ladies. Naruto looked toward the tree that he was on. As he walked over to said tree before, he slammed his fist into it. The branch shook as Jiraiya fell over right on the lady's side. The problem was, they were all kunoichis. Jiraiya looked up. Naruto stood outside as he heard the bashing, before the corpse of Jiraiya was tossed outside, as the man seemed to be dead for a moment, before he bounced back to his feet. You know, kid, that's not very nice. Neither is wasting my time. Let's go, said Naruto as he started to walk. You know, I am the experienced one in this. You should be showing me some respect. When you stop being a pervert, said Naruto. How dare you? I'm not a pervert, said Jiraiya. I'm a super pervert, he said with a proud smile. Naruto simply walked away. Come on, wake up, he said, as the both of them arrived in a field. So what do I do with this nature energy, said Naruto. Well, you're gonna have to return back to me with Mount Miyaboku. You and Haku as well, to get some training in to control it. Well, Haku mostly. Given what you've done so far, I figure that you will be able to control it right off the bat. It might sound crazy, but you're one crazy kid, he said. Now, about this, well, you can call it a prophecy. However, I have an idea. Even if you have this psychotic monster a part of you, Sage Energy is a complete opposite of all of that. How you were able to master and be saturated with Sage Energy is something that I don't know. But if that is the case, that means you can never turn out all bad once you're connected with nature. What are you saying, said Naruto. I'm saying, if you learn how to master Sage Energy, there's a chance that none of this will ever come true, and you'll be able to master that rage. You really think so, said Naruto. I know so, said Jiraiya. But it's gonna be up to you to do so. You don't seem like the type, but you're gonna have to meditate a lot. If this means I can remain myself and not go on a rampage killing, then I'll do what it takes, said Naruto as he sat down. Alright, said Jiraiya. So I'll teach you just like they taught me. What I want you to do is focus on the nature around you. Try to tap into that energy. Try to pull it and bend it towards you. Allow it to calm yourself inside and out. Make it run through you like a stream of water. Don't try to just control it, but bond with it. Focus, Jiraiya said. As Naruto was there, he found himself within his mindscape. This isn't a good time, he said. I'm busy. However, Naruto was surprised by what he saw. It was a cage. The bars of the cage were looking rust. They looked like they were turning old. What's going on? What's happening to this place? Naruto said as he saw burned ashes all over the ground. Kurama stepped forward as Naruto looked towards the beast. There was no anger there. He seemed like he just wanted to talk. They have spoke plenty in the past. However, lately Kurama has been rather silent and blocking Naruto out. Naruto did not know why. The fox had told him his name in the past to get him to trust him, it seems. As Naruto did not think much of it, completely unaware that a tail beast's name is sacred to them, until the fox had told him that. So he didn't know why he was blocking him out. Kurama looked down as he motioned for Naruto to come closer. Naruto did. He did not fear him. He looked worried. I heard what they told you. That large toad. Most of it is true, but there are certain things that you don't know. You are not a part of any beast. Your essence, your life, everything about you was combined with that beast. This is going to be a long story, so listen up. I won't be here for much longer to help you out. Wait, what do you mean by that? You see the condition of this place, correct? Well, I'm going with it. What? Naruto said, looking around. There must be something I can do. You're one of the few people that deserve my help. In times of needs, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have met Haku. I would have remained in this village. So much would have changed. So tell me what I can do. You can't do anything about it. This is not something about strength or power. From day one, you could never use my power because your body wouldn't allow it. And now, you're not only going to consume my very essence, but you're going to consume the Death Reaper seal as well. And I don't know what would be the after effects of that. But trust me, there will be many changes. But you need to know everything, so listen up. A long time ago, there was a group of people. Their desires are unknown to me. But it wasn't anything good. Trust me when I say that. They created a beast that they called Doomsday, which would end everything, judging by the name. That beast faced off against the strongest man to have ever walked this earth, the Sage of Six Paths. Their fight was the greatest fight that has ever taken place on this planet. Their fight almost rearranged and destroyed several continents. If it wasn't for the Sage, the beast wouldn't have been stopped, and the world would have been ended. However, he sealed it within himself. The longer he had it, the more life it took from him. He died at a time that he wasn't supposed to. He gave the beast over to me, believing that my chakra would keep it. However, on the night that I was sealed, when I was split in half, the beast merged with you. The both of you became one. So you became Doomsday and Naruto at the same time. This power that you have, it has no limit, it has no end. Over the years I have watched you. You've almost lost control several times, but at the brink, you are always able to regain control, to regain your mind. That girl, she's very special to you. She holds your emotion together, and that is not good. If you were to lose control now, there is physically no one alive that would be able to stop you. And you would burn this earth until nothing is left. And even after the earth is destroyed, you won't be killed. You will simply adapt more and more. I can feel the nature energy coursing through you. I can see that it's making you a lot calmer than before. But this rage that you have within you, there is nothing, not even nature energy itself, that can stop it. It might slow it down, but not forever. All of this is up to you. If you don't find a way to control yourself and control this power, everything will be destroyed. So as you can see, everyone's fate, including Haku, lies in your hand. From this moment on, there will be a lot of trials, a lot of tribulation, a lot of problems. But keep in mind who you are and what you desire. That seems to be the only thing to keep you in place. And it will be the only thing that keep all of us safe. Kurama said, looking down towards Naruto. as Naruto proceeded to take a deep breath in before he exhaled. Time skip. As Jiraiya sat down with Naruto as both of them gazed towards the river ahead of them. Who would have thought that even the Ninetales would be afraid of something, huh? Jiraiya said as he gazed forward. Naruto was silent. He was trying to be hopeful, but all of this was a lot. As he took a breath as he gazed down in the water, looking back at him was a monster, smiling darkly. Naruto shook his head as his image was there. He slowly got to his feet. "Where are you going?" said Jiraiya. "I need to take a walk," said Naruto. As Jiraiya did not say anything, as Naruto made his way off, as he was trying to clear his mind, thinking about the future and the possibilities. Naruto felt someone nearby, and this was no ordinary person. As he turned around, Naruto leaped out of the way as a massive, what seemed to be a sword, hit the ground. Naruto was surprised. He knew who this was. Kisame landed. To think, our little scuffle back then, and we did not know who exactly you were. It was a good thing I did not kill you. As Naruto paused, the memory then flashed across his mind. "Get out of here now! I'll hold them off. Protect Haku." It was the voice of Zabuza. When they had came across Kisame, the Mad Bomber Deidara, and the Red Scorpion Sorcery. Their intertwining mission turned into a battle, which cost Zabuza his life. Kisame looked towards Naruto with a smirk as he picked Samehata up. Naruto clenched his fists. Kisame stepped forward. "How about round 2, he said. "Kisame, we are not here to waste time. Remember that." A voice spoke as Naruto looked up, dead into the eyes of the Sharingan. Itachi calmly looked at him as Kisame jumped forward. "You're right, but I can have a little bit of fun." Naruto jumped back as the sword slammed into the earth. As Naruto started to laugh, a grin actually spread on his face. "You know, a lot around me has been crappy lately. So this is good that you decide to show up here. So I can work my anger out on ending your pathetic life. I'll tear you apart, limb from limb." As the 3 red blades emerged from Naruto's knuckles, he jumped forward and slashed with Samehata. Samehata squirmed as Naruto tear through its scales and tear into the thing. Kisame jumped back as both him and Naruto started to clash. Kisame brought down a considerable amount of force. Naruto's knees did not buckle. As Naruto pushed him away, rushing forward, he swiped, aiming to tear Kisame's skull clean open, but Kisame backtracked. He spun and slammed into Naruto's back. Naruto stomped his leg into the ground, stopping himself as he turned and flipped over the blade. He then gripped into it. Kisame tried to shred Naruto's arm by pulling back, but Naruto pulled. Kisame was caught off guard by the strength as Naruto ripped Samehata out of his hand. Naruto then launched the blade away before he jumped. Kisame crossed his arm as Naruto stepped into his guard. Kisame was surprised as he felt the force, as his whole body felt the trembling. As Naruto wasn't done yet though, he held his hand towards Kisame's face, pointing 2 fingers out. Kisame tilted his head, but the attack was so fast as it tore right across his face. The sharp man gripped his bleeding face as lightning had tore across his face. His blood started to run down his cheek. He turned and thrust his fist out, but Naruto blocked it. His strength was on par with Kisame's strength. Kisame threw another, but Naruto blocked it. His smile increasing. "I guess you're not that much stronger anymore," said Naruto. As Kisame tried to push Naruto back, However, Naruto took a step forward, pushing him back. The both of them using a considerable amount of force, trying to gain the upper hand. As Naruto was the one to push him, Kisame was baffled as Naruto slapped both of his hands away before he plunged his hand into Kisame's chest. The force shook the shark man. His eyes widened as Naruto allowed the three blades to emerge from his knuckles. Kisame spat up blood as he was thrown, the force finally kicking in. He bounced across the ground as he smashed through several trees. Kisame was lying on the ground in agonizing pain as Samehata rushed to his aid. Naruto ran forward and leaped. However, throwing 3 kunais was Itachi, stopping Naruto as Naruto slapped them away. But it was enough momentum for Kisame to raise Samehata as he swung at Naruto. Naruto backpedaled as he landed. Kisame tried to get up but he collapsed down to one knee. He looked towards a wound in his chest. Samehata was supplying him with all the chakra that it could, but the wound was not healing so fast. What the hell is this? Kisame said, feeling his body trembling. He started to sweat and he was getting weaker. As Naruto took a deep breath, he released the 3 claws as he focused on the nature around him, calming himself down. Naruto snapped his eyes open as they were now green, before he ran forward at speeds that shocked the 2S rank. Naruto disappeared before he could reach Kisame, who swung. Naruto appeared behind him as Kisame turned. Naruto was gone. He appeared to his left. He was gone. When suddenly Naruto appeared and uppercut him, his head snapped back. Kisame gaze lifted to the sky as blood sprayed out of his mouth as he proceeded to collapse on his back in agonizing pain. Naruto's whole body was now glowing with a flicker of green energy around him. But he was just getting started. Naruto held his hand up as a ball of energy started to form. He's seen Jiraiya do this on multiple occasions. However, this was no ordinary Rasengan. Unaware to Naruto, he was experimenting with something that has never done before. Sage energy mixed with his normal chakra, mixed with all the other elements. However, Naruto lowered the amount of force that he would need, knowing that it would just cause drastic damage for Konoha. Naruto thrust the ball forward. Samehata jumped in the way, trying to devour the energy, but when it swallowed it, Samehata's scales started to explode off its body. Kisame got up to his feet, pulling Samehata back. The massive creature was now out, as its tongue was turning into stone, before it broke and fell apart. Samehata started to squirm and scream. The blade was not having a good time in the slightest. Kisame looked up as Naruto's fist cracked his face. Blood sprayed everywhere. Naruto wasn't done as he raised both of his hands. He was about to drop it in Kisame's skull. This was not Kisame's day. However, a fireball was launched towards Naruto from the side. Naruto waved his hand and knocked it away like it was nothing. The flames not burning him, his skin was too durable. "Stay out of this," he said as he waved his hand, releasing a massive gust that tore several trees apart, forcing Itachi to jump away. Kisame used that time to backpedal as Samehata was screaming. Several Konoha ninjas were coming their way. They had to flee as Naruto held both of his hands out. Electricity started to run down his sleeve, running down his hands as they tingle. He then shoot pure raw electricity forward like it was water, waving towards them. Both men had to leap for their life as Naruto destroyed half of the forest that they were currently in, reducing everything to ashes. His body had reverted back to normal, his eyes no longer green. As he tried to find them, he was about to take off until several people landed around him, wondering what the hell was going on as several explosions went off in front of Naruto. It was used as a distraction. Naruto cursed as the several ninjas were shouting at him to find out who was attacking. However, it seems like they were long gone by now. Time skip. They were able to sneak into the village, Itachi Uchiha and Kisame. Sasuke Uchiha had immediately came to find Naruto right after, wanting to know why Itachi was here. However, Naruto didn't have time for him, and Sasuke was not allowed in the office as Tsunade was talking to Naruto, which made him furious. Extremely so. Time skip with Kisame. Samehata has not returned back to normal. Swallowing that attack, trying to siphon off all the chakra was not a very good thing. Samehata's body was seemingly pale. Many of the scales were no longer there. The blade was barely moving. Kisame had to wrap it up in bandages, hoping that Samehata would heal on its own. After all, he couldn't really find anyone to heal a blade. But Samehata was no normal blade though. But still, there was nothing that he could do about it. Kisame was furious, as he couldn't believe he let that brat got the better of him. The last time they fought he was nowhere this strong, but now his strength seemed to be getting close to a S-rank ninja. Kisame got distracted so much time in that battle, it was partly his fault as well. Next time though, things would go a completely different way. As soon as he healed, yes, his wound was not healed. It was taking a really long time despite Samehata trying to stop it earlier. But now, it just looked like a festering virus. This wasn't good in the slightest, as even Itachi see that he need to get some help for that. But Kisame did not listen. He was irrational. The problem was, Itachi was playing double agent. After all, his goal was not to truly side with the organization. However, he couldn't just stand there and allow Kisame to get the crap beaten out of him if there was a chance that his death was not going to be certain, because that would immediately shed light on him being a traitor. So he played his part as best as he could. Now they would stop the hunt for some time for the Nine Tails, after seeing how stronger he has become, and knowing that he was now a true threat, and given the fact that he was so young, well, he was going to be a true problem. He just hoped that his actions would play out as he thought, which involved his younger brother Sasuke Uchiha. He was doing all of this for him after all. Time skip. Sasuke was bloody furious. He was pissed. Itachi came back to the village and he only found out after he left. Sasuke was angry, more so than ever before. However, the opportunity finally provided itself, as Sasuke Uchiha was contacted by the Sound 4. It was time. Meanwhile that was going on, she had not broke. It didn't matter what they do, she had not broke. The girl was immensely loyal, willing to die to keep Orochimaru's secrets to herself. Konoha was trying to do this the easy way for her, but it seems like that was no longer the option. Do it. Tsunade gave the order as Inoichi Yamanaka made his way. Guren looked up as she looked really out of it. She wasn't in a good condition, not in the slightest. They were no longer going to do this the easy way. They were going to get the answer they desire by ripping it out of her mind. But guys, being subscribed right here. If you want to see next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the new What Ifs over the other channels. Yes guys, I indeed have 4 more channels that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so just go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. So without further ado, wasting more time, I'm out. See you guys soon. Peace.